The boy the Wilsons sponsored finally got into grad school. He shared his inspiring journey from a small mountain village to the city on social media, overjoyed. There was also a picture with Rachel, captioned, "My benefactor, my support, the most unique person in my life. Isn't she University's youngest master's advisor? Becoming an academic supporter for her is definitely a way to show gratitude, right?" Jack pinned his comment at the top. "Thank you, everyone, for the blessings. I'll try to graduate with an extra certificate." I paused for a moment and scrolled to the latest post. It had some screenshots of Jack's thesis and the full acknowledgement section. Every sentence was about Rachel's late-night guidance and patient encouragement. I stared at those images for a long time. I'd seen that content on Rachel's computer. She said the paper was extremely important to her. I stayed up late with a fever, helping her review, never thinking I was making a wedding dress for someone else. At that moment, I suddenly realized even the most stable marriage can have cracks. When I got home, I was stunned. A boy with neat short hair was wearing my slippers, busy cutting fruit in the kitchen. When he saw me, a flash of annoyance at being interrupted crossed his eyes but quickly disappeared. "Grant, I've seen your photos, you're even more handsome in person." He came out of the kitchen with the fruit, acting like he was at home, without any awkwardness. Rachel was sitting on the balcony with a laptop, so focused that she didn't notice I'd returned. The academic exchange was supposed to end the day after tomorrow, but I finished my part early, so I came back ahead of schedule. "Grant, I'm Jack. Rachel should have mentioned me." He set down the fruit platter, and as he looked down, a few strands of hair fell perfectly across his forehead, making him look more delicate and gentle. "I've been writing my thesis these past few days, and the dorm's too noisy, so I couldn't sleep well. Rachel brought me here to stay for a few days. Don't worry, Grant, I'll handle all the chores. You just go to work, and I'll take good care of Rachel." I frowned. Because the dorm was noisy, Rachel brought someone home? That's hard for me to buy. Rachel and I grew up together. She's not someone who loses her sense of boundaries out of sympathy. I agreed to marry her because we know each other well, we're evenly matched. Even if we don't end up as a loving couple, at least we won't become resentful ones. Besides, in many marriages being suitable is often more important than being in love. Rachel's smart, good-looking, from a good family, and has no bad habits. Our families are business partners, not quite a luxury TV drama marriage, but complementary nonetheless. As a marriage partner, there's no better choice than her. Of course, we like each other better than any other calculation. I still feel a pang recalling the time she mistakenly thought I was going on a blind date, hurriedly flying back from an overseas academic conference to my doorstep. Usually calm and composed, Rachel showed up all frazzled in front of me. Her hair blown messy by the cold wind, her coat wrinkled from anxiety, and the exhaustion reflected in her teary eyes, like she'd been through many restless nights. "Grant, if you ever want to marry, can we get married?" I stood at the door, holding 2 large bags of trash, stunned. Rachel's a typical science major. She doesn't express herself well and never said she liked me. Even comforting words come awkwardly. During school, she mocked me for losing my top spot, poking my forehead. "You're so dumb, make sure to catch up next time." Then she would take my paper and start explaining my mistakes. But she never thought to purposely score lower to cheer me up. We naturally ended up married, becoming a perfect match in others' eyes. I remember the night before I was supposed to go overseas for an exchange when, after an intimate moment, she nestled into my neck, sounding almost playful. "Grant, let's have a kid." I softly agreed. If nothing went wrong, we should have been together to the end. But now it seems a bit shaky. I walked in, stone-faced, stepping in my loafers straight across the floor. "Hey, Grant, I just mopped this morning. Aren't you going to change your shoes?" Jack exclaimed, covering his mouth, finally catching Rachel's attention. I glanced at him coldly. Slippers are personal items. I don't like wearing ones other people have worn. Our guest slippers are different from those, and Rachel and I are wearing a matching set, clearly visible at the door. Jack froze. He thought that since he was sponsored by the Wilsons and brought here as Rachel's guest, I would let it slide despite being upset. He didn't expect that I just didn't care about such things. He hurriedly took off the slippers and placed them before me, sounding a bit flustered. Sorry, at my place, we share a pair of slippers among several brothers. I didn't realize you have so many rules, and I've never seen such nice ones. Rachel came in from the balcony with a mug, and Jack looked at her, his eyes full of unspeakable grievance. But the woman he saw as his savior didn't pick up on his signal. When Rachel saw me, a soft light suddenly shone in her usually indifferent eyes. You finished early? Why didn't you tell me? I could have picked you up. I casually tossed my briefcase on the couch, ready to speak but interrupted by Jack's choked voice. Sorry, I think I made Grant mad. I didn't know I couldn't wear his slippers. How about I buy a pair to replace them? Rachel glanced at him, then turned her gaze to me. This is Jack. I mentioned him before. He just got into grad school, and their dorm isn't very nice, so he's staying here for a bit. I know the Wilsons have sponsored a lot of students. One of them is Jack. He has quite a few siblings, and Jack's the oldest. If it weren't for the Wilsons, he'd probably be out working as soon as he hit adulthood, just like his brothers. I know someone like that, but what I didn't know was that while I was on a business trip this past month, he moved into my house wearing my slippers. Grant, I'm just a clueless country bumpkin, so don't get mad at me. Just teach me more once we live together. From the country? Planning to live together? I laughed. Then why are you using my hair gel and cologne? I remember leaving those in the master bedroom. We may not have such rules at home, but didn't school teach you that you shouldn't touch things that aren't yours? I scoffed, tossing the slippers into the trash. There were 4 pairs of guest slippers in the shoe cabinet, yet he chose the couple slippers that Rachel and I share. Rachel furrowed her brows slightly and said helplessly, "We can buy new ones after dinner. They're just slippers." I refused flatly. I've been awake for 15 hours. I don't have the time or energy to go out just for slippers. Rachel opened her mouth but didn't say anything. The tension in the room lingered. Jack weakly apologized. Sorry, Grant. I'll clean the floors and buy new slippers. We have a Roomba. Don't pretend like you're taking on needless hardship in front of me. I walked straight to my room, hearing muffled crying behind me. When I finished freshening up and came out, Jack was already gone, dragging his suitcase with him. Rachel sat on the couch with downcast eyes, her profile calm and serene. Are you upset? What's the reason you're upset? When we got married, we agreed to communication. Speak directly to clear things up. This way, we can save time from misunderstanding and distrust. We didn't want to test our relationship with silent treatment. Rachel, bringing a boy home to stay doesn't seem like something you do, I said bluntly. She chuckled behind her hand, eyes soft. Are you jealous? Grant? I thought you didn't care about me. I was taken aback. Sweet words are nice, but it wasn't the answer I was looking for. He's just a student sponsored by the Wilsons. Issues with the dorms and social interactions meant he needed to stay out for a while. The homes Mom and Dad talked about were either too far or didn't have the time to get cleaned. I smiled wryly. Rachel, without the Wilsons, without you, would those issues still be problems? Excuses about disliking dorms and being afraid to talk to roommates don't seem like something a kid from an underprivileged background would say. Plus, he's 27, not 17. Took 2 extra years for undergrad and 3 for grad school. Rachel might believe those reasons, but I don't. Those updated videos and comments make his intentions clear. Anyone with eyes can see it. She leaned against me, her head on my shoulder. I've been so tired. Can't sleep well when you're not around. Rachel needs Grant, you have to believe me. I thought for a moment and nodded. If 2 decades of friendship could be shaken this easily, then why did I choose Rachel back then? I've always believed she's a good person. Even without love, she wouldn't do anything disgraceful. The next day, I drove to the lab as usual. She still prepared my morning coffee and packed vitamins and fruit for me. Things seemed mostly unchanged. During my lunch break, I checked my phone. My feed showed Jack's latest vlog. I must fly like a bird to my mountain, thanks to my goddess. The first photo was my favorite book, the one I used to ask Rachel to read when we first got married. Yet, the one she gave Jack had the author's signature. With a trembling hand, I kept scrolling, seeing Rachel and Jack's chat. Rachel, Don't sweat the small stuff. Rachel, if you're feeling down, spend more time at the lab. Your energy shouldn't be wasted on trivial things like slippers. Jack, then why can someone else waste it? Rachel, I can't control others, but I won't let you waste it. Jack, haha, I'm honored. At your command. I mindlessly scrolled through the comments, feeling the blood drain from me. It made me think, should I go for my master's now? Don't get your hopes up, most advisors are like mine. Can't go 3 sentences without critiquing my thesis. It's definitely original. In a daze, a colleague handed me a list. Grant, here's the list of students selected for the H project group. Do you want to see it? I nodded, signing my name absent-mindedly. This was a collaboration between our lab and H University. The people from H wanted us to give some students a chance to join our project. The team agreed to have them send apps to us so we could screen through them. Maybe 10 students would have a shot. That night I drove home, and Rachel had already made dinner. I slipped on the slippers she just bought and placed my phone in front of her. How come you'd get a signed book for him and not for me? She's not into social media much, and even prefers calling over texting. So, I had to show her how Jack interpreted her every move. How do others view their relationship? Her eyebrows furrowed tighter and tighter. She put down her phone and said in a serious tone, "Got it." Rachel explained that the book was a gift for the students, not just for Jack. But I didn't get one because she thought I liked the book more than people. As for Jack, she said she'd handle it. I looked at her and nodded gently. All right, I trust you. For the last time. Days moved forward smoothly, and the lab projects gradually got on track. Just before diving into overtime work, I got a call from Rachel. Rachel, who usually loves cooking at home, surprisingly wanted to take me out on a dinner date. I looked at the empty lab and agreed happily. It was that familiar old place, the one Rachel and I have been frequenting since high school. They make the best pickled dishes here. Just as we sat down, a familiar figure appeared not far away. Who else could it be but Jack? He was carrying a tray, serving water and taking orders for newly arrived guests. When he saw us, or more accurately, when he saw Rachel, his eyes welled up. Tears fell uncontrollably, dripping onto the order-taking device. I shook my cup gently, looking down without a word. Rachel glanced at him, unable to stop herself from frowning. The Wilsons stopped sponsoring you? Jack took a deep breath, trying hard to control his emotions, though his voice still trembled. I really appreciate Auntie and your care and help, but from now on, I'll manage and work through college myself. He sneaked a quick look at me, speaking with a touch of defiance. That way, I won't upset Grant. I lifted my head and looked at him coldly. You want to work your way through school? With your qualifications, you could find a tutoring job or work as a teacher at an agency. There are plenty of ways to earn money. But you chose to be a server at a place we frequent, and I have no clue what you're up to. Jack seemed like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, quickly explaining, it's just a coincidence. Rachel took me here once, and I saw they were hiring, so I thought I'd earn a bit more money. I smirked. Earn money? With your status as a graduate student from H University, isn't there any job that pays better than being a server? A student should act like one, with clarity in their eye instead of glaring schemes. He suddenly stopped what he was doing, choking up. Grant, not everyone can talk big and act courageously like you. I'm from the mountains. I'm not good with words. Barely know I should share slippers with others, and am terrified of dealing with people. To me, a job's a job whether you're earning in a fancy lab or I'm working here, it's all work. I know you look down on me, but you don't have to keep humiliating me. Rachel turned her head, a casual gaze upon me. Grant, don't corner the kid to a dead end. Jack stood trembling next to Rachel. He bowed to me with genuine sincerity. I'm sorry, Grant. I shouldn't have flaunted Rachel's kindness everywhere. Shouldn't have upset you. I formally apologize and I'll delete all the videos. And please, stop making things hard for me. How have I made things hard for you? Jack glanced at Rachel with a look of grievance. The project at your lab, I applied for it too. I know you don't like me, but I've really worked so hard. Why take away my chance? Suddenly hit me, today's little drama was all about this. Recently, Students selected from H University have steadily joined the lab. And by pure coincidence, out of Jack's 4 roommates, the other 3 got in. When they returned to school, they couldn't stop raving about our lab. The lab with the largest funding in the province. Mom and Dad, I've made you proud. Oh, it makes all the difference where you're working. Whether it's a gold or diamond nest or just a doghouse. The food here is just too good. And they give you so much for free. The highlight of my resume, heard a family member of our teacher works there. Grant, who's training us, is incredible, young and talented. The only men I admire this much are Daniel Wu and him. I checked all the selected students' resumes, but Jack's never came to me. I immediately got the colleague in charge of selections to send me Jack's resume. Glanced at it. Sometimes, instead of questioning why from others, you should ask why yourself. Rachel looked at me silently, her eyes calm and unruffled. I knew she was upset. Grant, don't joke around with someone's future. I paused for a second, finding it a bit funny. Laughing at how I've never really understood her all these years. Laughing at how she never really knew me either. Otherwise, why would she rather believe in someone else than in me? Seeing Rachel stand up for him, Jack cried even more. I know it's my fault. All my fault. I didn't mean to blame you. Whether I get into the lab is just your say-so. Stop. I don't have that kind of influence, and even if I did, I wouldn't waste it on you. Rachel didn't seem to believe what I said. I did check, you're the project lead. But I know it's a joint decision, so I won't interfere, but today you pushed too hard. I gave a small snort. I pushed too hard? Out of respect for you, I accepted his resume after the deadline. Can a student who hasn't even passed level 4 have the basic ability to read English literature? Or should I show you the other students' resumes? Jack glanced nervously at Rachel, worried that she might think it was his fault. You know, I just can't get along with my roommates. They didn't even tell me about this project. And by the time I found out, it was too late, he said, almost laughing in disbelief. How can someone blame others for everything? As far as I know, the project's recruitment announcement was everywhere at your school. If you didn't notice, that's on you. Why should your roommates be obligated to tell you? But I have a thesis. Jack defended himself, a bit of determination in his eyes, and it's better quality than even those of my senior classmates. Oh, a thesis is definitely important, I nodded, but when you had me suggesting over 30 changes just in the first 3,000 words, is that really something to boast about? Ironically, the thesis he was proud of was the one I had stayed up all night to revise. The meal fell apart. Or rather, it didn't happen for me. When I left, Rachel chased after me and grabbed my arm. He's just a student, you didn't have to humiliate him in front of everyone. I shook her hand off, looking at her coldly. And you, Rachel? When you accused me of targeting him in front of everyone, did you ever think about how I'd feel? In the 3 years of our marriage, or actually since we met, have we ever fought over someone irrelevant like this before? The answer is never. So why now? Grant, he's my student. And how is that any of my concern? Rachel didn't come back that night because someone on H University's social media walls posted today's video. And there was also Jack's social media update. The motivational role model you all admire is actually just using his mentor's family. First, he mooches off them, wears the husband's slippers and uses his cologne. And he can't let the mentor go either. You could say Grant is so outstanding that Jack desperately tried to be the third wheel but couldn't even succeed. Usually seems aloof, but turns out he's this kind of person behind the scenes. The comments exploded, and the post went viral. Rachel practically became invisible while Jack became the target of the whole campus. Isn't that our dorm building? No wonder he suddenly started staying outside. Even though the videos were deleted, didn't this ring true for a so-called motivational influencer linked to him? Isn't his rise to the top somewhat motivational? Everyone's path is just different. Let's see how the school handles it. Everyone likes a young and talented Rachel. But these guys are shameless. I remember he's not that young. Isn't Rachel just about 5 or 6 years older? Gross. Going into someone else's home without permission and wearing the owner's slippers? Imagine if he had athlete's foot. That's how boys without manners behave. Didn't the original poster say he used other people's stuff freely? Uncomparable. But he really has thick skin. I still draft what I want to say in a doc before talking to my advisor. Wimpy group meet up here. I sat in the study, looking at the photo frame on Rachel's desk. It was our first picture together. We had just finished our first high school monthly test and tied for first. Our teacher wanted us to take a photo together. I remember she was muttering before it was taken, "Finally, someone who can compete with me. Now you have the right to stand by my side." I rolled my eyes. "Next time, it'll just be a cool solo shot of me. You can relax somewhere else." "In your dreams," she retorted. Thus, we became the only reference pairs in high school. "Rachel, what was your answer for the last question?" "I'm not telling you. How do you translate that English word?" "Call me Big Sister, and I'll tell you." "Get lost." "Rachel, do you want to go to Q University or J University?" "What about you?" "Q University." "Then I'm going to Q University too." After our scores were out, I went to the US and she went to the UK. We'd meet each year, argue each time, and always be there for each other. Finally, as everyone hoped, we became a strong pair. Suddenly, my phone vibrated like crazy. It was Rachel. The moment I answered, she was crying, "Grant, how could you ruin a boy's future like this? He's just a student. Are you trying to ruin his life? He didn't even do those things." Facing Rachel's groundless blame once again, I was incredibly calm. But why does it hurt so much in my chest? Felt like I was about to suffocate. What happened? I tried to keep my voice steady. "Stop pretending. I'm actually starting to wonder if I chose the wrong person 3 years ago." With a sharp sound, my hand shook lightly, and the picture frame crashed to the ground. Shattered. Maybe it wasn't just the frame that was broken. For a matter she usually wouldn't even tap on WhatsApp for, Rachel went out of her way to open a social media account. She appeared in the video, calm and collected as ever. "Jack and I have known each other for a long time. I welcome anyone, including him, to apply for my postgraduate program. He has visited my home, and he often visits my parents. The reasons aren't up for discussion, but it's all normal interactions. He wore the wrong slippers because no one ever taught him these things, like not knowing to use a serving spoon when dining or standing on the right side of an escalator. As for his test and academic abilities, everyone has their own timeline. I believe my student will bloom one day. Rachel always had this ability. In just over 3 minutes, the disadvantage turned around completely. Overnight, everything changed. I can't believe they bullied a boy like this. Besides the wife, who else could have done something so low? The boy freely admitted that he was supported. Rachel is like a life-saving benefactor to him. Sometimes, delivering local specialties or cooking a meal is just normal, especially in our hometown's simplest way of showing care. And who else but the household would know about wearing the wrong slippers? It had to be the wife. So gross. I heard this guy works at the coolest lab and comes from a wealthy family. He even took that freshman spot in the project group. What? A rich kid pushing around the working class? Someone should look into this. If switching majors means I can't do related internships, then what about all us students who switch majors? Are we just paying tuition to the country for nothing? In just half a day, all my personal info was dug up. Someone challenged my workplace about my qualifications and thesis. Even my mom's company got a call from the tax office, saying they'd gotten a bunch of real name reports. Since that day, Rachel hasn't come home. She moved into the faculty apartment at school, which only fueled those online rumors. That night, she sent me one last message. "That book's really not for you. You're nothing like the main guy in it. Jack's more like him." For a moment, my nose felt so sour. Thinking back to all those times I bent over backward to treat her well, it just seemed pointless. Rachel was really awful to me. Jack's followers doubled, and he's still playing his inspirational influencer role. He's even got endorsements now, with Rachel popping up sometimes in the background. Sometimes she's shown in the lab, sometimes in the office or at academic conferences. The latest update was about his thesis proposal, and Rachel supposedly gave over 100 suggestions for changes. I was such a fool. Just my luck, I guess. The feedback was mostly positive. One skeptical comment said, "If Rachel helps every student like this, I've got nothing to say. But if it's just for the blogger, Where's the fairness in that? This comment shot to the top but was deleted quickly. Later, more screenshots of that comment started popping up. Jack realized something was off and quickly changed the viewing settings for that post. By the time I got a call from my mom, I had already packed up all of Rachel's things, ready to drop them off at the Wilsons. Seen the stock price? She didn't say more. Because of my issues, my mom's company's stock price had been dropping. Almost everyone was talking about how, if a mom has a son like me, how good could she be? Just dig a bit and you'd find all sorts of issues. On the other line, the woman who had always had my back was still there, picking up my slack. If you did those things, then it's my fault for not raising you well. I'll take the loss. If you didn't, then handle it your way. I've still got your back. But your mom and those uncle investors' money are still money. There's no reason to lose it over a few words from outsiders. I sniffed, feeling strangely wronged. Mom, don't say anything. Don't I know the son I raised? Handle it when you're ready. Jack's part is easy. Track the IP. Track the IP of that so-called informed source. Just as everyone said, only 3 people were home that day. If I'm not the one spilling details and spinning them, who else could it be? Of course, it matched Jack's IP. I've got a lawyer lined up to collect evidence to sue Jack and deal with my divorce with Rachel. For me, the hardest part is my marriage with Rachel. Maybe because I put effort into it, reaching this point feels both sad and unspeakably tough. But I gotta believe all this sadness. Hard is hard, but it'll pass. On Rachel's mom's birthday, a kind of high society gathering in H City, Jack strutted through the Wilsons' hall in his high-end suit. Everyone could see the outfit was expensive, with even the brooch matching Rachel's. He was all smug, going on about how the Wilsons and Rachel's mom are like family to him. Plus, the Wilsons is his anchor in this city. When he passed by me, he greeted me like he just noticed me. Grant, Rachel already apologized for you. This suit was a gift from her, you know. Had to spend a lot of time altering it. If I were you, I'd just apologize to Rachel. She's got a good temper. The glee in Jack's eyes was about to overflow. Enjoying yourself? What? Jack's smile froze on his face. What are you up to? I gave a genuine smile. Just a casual question? What are you afraid of? Jack stood there dumbfounded. He probably didn't even realize why, between the two of us today, he's still the one instinctively scared. Rachel's mom wasn't in a cheerful mood from the start. Before the dinner began, I told her I wanted a divorce. To avoid affecting the business relationship, I waited until after her birthday. Our divorce, if it can be handled smoothly, that'd be ideal. If she refuses, Rachel's mom might need to persuade her. After all, taking it to court wouldn't be good for me, her, or the companies. She tried to talk me out of it for a long time, but I wouldn't budge. You see what's happening today. If it were your son standing here, you'd support a divorce too, right? Rachel's mom opened her mouth, but words failed her. She sighed heavily. I've watched you grow up. Rachel did you wrong. By the time Jack swung by with champagne for the 3rd time, proudly strolling by us, Oliver couldn't hold it in. Is this the jackass aiming to turn the Wilsons into his own nest, Rachel's grandma into his own granny? Oliver's known me since we were in diapers, sporting a scent costing a few grand, with a mouth as sharp as a dagger. Rachel just had the flu recently and ran a fever. Did it blow a fuse in her head or what? She's short-sighted, not blind. Look at our Grant. Isn't he handsome? Just check out those eyes. 2. Just the right amount. I lowered my gaze. I'm getting a divorce. Do it. Oliver didn't hesitate for a second, like when he used to coax me into pulling all-nighters at internet cafes as a kid. When it comes to relationship issues, he always advised breaking up. I had initially been attracted to Rachel's face, and the one her family sponsored. The guy dressed up all slick like some bad spirit. I'm afraid even a master could hardly contain him. Don't let his bad vibes rub off on you. I couldn't help but chuckle, glancing at Rachel from the corner of my eye. She stood nearby throughout the entire banquet, lips tight, with a cold expression. She was waiting for me to give in. But that wouldn't happen. Where she stood, who she stood with at the dessert table or the staircase, how well her outfit matched her accessories. None of that concerned me anymore. Before the banquet was over, Oliver and I drove off. The divorce papers were left in her room, along with all the stuff she had at my place. Our place was a pre-marital purchase of mine, close to work. We'd moved there after getting hitched, and now the market's at its peak. Selling it is a win-win. When Rachel came out of the bathroom, Grant was already gone. She hurried off without even saying goodbye to Rachel's mother, driving away. Jack chased after her, his normally crisp suit looking a bit disheveled. He almost tripped, eyes red as he watched the black car disappear, his face full of unwillingness. Rachel, frustrated, honked while trying to call Grant, only to find she was blocked. Just this once, she wanted to teach Grant a lesson. The whole mess was his fault anyhow. Yet she didn't foresee Grant blowing things up, not even granting her a chance for a proper dialogue as they initially agreed. Even more unexpected, when Rachel drove back home, there were agents showing potential buyers around the house. "Who gave you permission to enter my home? Ma'am, are you crazy? Grant authorized me to sell this place. His house, not yours." Rachel's body shook. She uncharacteristically lost her usual composure. "Out. Get out of my house. This is my home. No entry for any of you." Even after clearing everyone out, Rachel realized it didn't feel like her home anymore. Everything had been removed, including the simple drawings on the study wall. They'd been painted over. Not a trace was left. After spending 3 years here with Grant, over 1,000 days and nights, it all felt like a shattered dream, gone. Rachel clutched the divorce papers, recalling their final phone call. Sitting alone on the study's window seat, Grant had been calm, like still autumn water. He had probably been thinking about divorce then too. Not because she let Jack post frequently on social media over the past month as some sort of punishment, nor because she let Jack wear a suit that was supposed to be Grant's today. Soon, I got a call from the agent, saying the buyer was someone named Wilson, offering 20% above market price if I'd meet them. No guessing needed, it was obvious. They must have seen my divorce papers. When we met, Rachel hadn't slept in days. This was the second time I'd seen her look so disheveled. She sat opposite me, urgently placing the divorce papers in front of me. "What does this mean?" "Exactly what it says. Grant, isn't this what you wanted?" Rachel paused, then decisively tore up the papers. "I won't agree to this. I've never considered divorcing you, but I have." She looked at me with confusion in her eyes. "Why? We don't have any fundamental issues, I smirked. "Do you seriously think I need to use such flimsy tactics to deal with a Jack?" Rachel hesitated slightly, murmuring, "I didn't think it through. I just wanted to clear his name. He's had it tough getting here. He can't stand this public pressure." "Can't you empathize with him?" I snorted coldly. "Rachel, have you ever considered how I feel? Do you think it's been easy for me to get here? Did my mother have it easy building everything from scratch for half her life just so you can destroy it with Jack's few posts and your so-called clarifying video?" I tried to calm myself down, afraid I'd end up crying in front of her. Rachel reached out, but I jerked away. Her hand grasped at the air, catching nothing. "Grant, I deleted the video shortly after. I didn't mean to hurt you. I truly love you." I looked at her, slowly emphasizing each word. "Shove me into the path of public scorn, and then casually delete the video. That's how you show love? No, that's not the right question for you. I should ask myself why I let you hurt me this way." Rachel slumped heavily in her seat, trembling with her head in her hands. I pulled another set of divorce papers from my bag. "The property and shares are all sorted by my lawyer and have been shown to your parents. Tear it up again if you want. I have more in my bag." She froze, staring at the stack of divorce papers in my hand, shaking her head fiercely. "Grant, I was wrong. I really was. I handed him over to other teachers. I can quit my job at the school. Please, give me another chance." "Give her another chance?" "Rachel, you know deep down, I've warned you more than once. I don't have much of a choice." The moment Rachel decided to stand by his side, fate was sealed. Not even a second left for me to choose. Just sign it. Dragging this to a lawsuit benefits no one. The Wilsons would never allow our divorce to become public scandal. After leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, I got into Oliver's car and drove away. Rachel went back to school, and somehow Jack managed to snap a picture of her divorce certificate. Now he could openly admit he liked her, and the past would be in the past. Comments under the post were already stirring up tension. Isn't this all a bit weird? Something just doesn't sit right. Oliver glanced at the latest video, not even bothered to curse. That pixelation is as good as none, hinting at you overtly and covertly. I lowered my gaze and dialed a number. Simon, let's go ahead and file the lawsuit. Demand compensation for the losses your team calculated, and a full public apology. In less than an hour, the comments under the video shifted completely. I can't even comment "don't recommend me this kind of blogger again." My account gains 1 million views each time and I'm fed up. Oh my God. Claiming to be an inspirational blogger while aiming to be someone's mistress? Why isn't this account banned for violating public morality? His mentor's no good either. Going out of his way to clear things up, only to expose himself. We investigated Grant and his company before. Let's do the same for these two. None of them should get away. The day Jack issued an apology, the flowers along the highway bloomed exceptionally vibrant. Spring finally arrived in H-City. He sobbed into the camera about his tough life, saying the compensation demanded by the lawyer was beyond his means, forcing him to his breaking point. Yet, there wasn't a single sympathetic comment. So because you're broke, someone else has to bear the loss? If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? Just shedding a few tears would solve everything? Glad to see everyone's awake to this now. Hurry up and pay. No way can you think they'll let him actually pay this much. Oliver casually drove with the flow, seemingly seeing through everything. I bet in a few days your company's PR will step in, playing the reasonable card, saying you've learned a hard lesson. Then the company's stock will bounce back up. That's quite the calculation, isn't it? A few days later, I ran into Jack at the lab entrance. His face was cold. When he saw me, he didn't even bother to hide the hatred in his eyes. I knew you a decade ago. He smirked self-deprecatingly. I really hate this place. Summer is always so stuffy. That year, my dad and I carried eggs, both wearing shoes with holes. Those were my best shoes. We stood at the Wilsons' entrance waiting for ages. That was the first time I saw Rachel. I hoped she'd say something to me, but her attention was all on you. I took a step back without a trace. Sorry, I've forgotten about it. Forgot? You actually forgot. Well, it was one of the most significant summers to me. Checking the time, I interrupted his rambling. I'm in a bit of a rush. Jack suddenly erupted, grabbing me. Just a pair of slippers. You deliberately wanted to embarrass me and make a fool of me. You're just luckier than me. Born into wealth. If you were born in a family that couldn't afford school, wouldn't you fight to climb up? Why do you get to ruin my life? More colleagues gathered at the entrance. I looked coldly at this young man, exposing the truth. You should be clearer than me if it's just a pair of slippers. You just wanted to test Rachel's limits, living in my house, wearing my slippers, using my things, doing what the man of the house should do. Is it really just a pair of slippers? Don't blame your misfortune on others. Jack suddenly laughed, tears streaming down his face. So what? You're nothing now. A divorced loser. What if you're rich? You're just a toxic, wicked bachelor. Only an older woman would marry you to raise someone else's kid. I smirked, swirling my coffee, then splashed it in his face. You're almost 28, right? And in 2 years, you might not even graduate from your master's program. When I was your age, I was in a top research group. I'm 30 now. Being wealthy is the least of my merits. If my life can fall apart, what about yours? Can you even imagine? From that day on, I only heard about Rachel. Rachel quit her school job. The school leaders didn't ask her to stay much. I kept working on my projects. These matters no longer affected me. As for Jack, the next I'd hear of him was when he got arrested for intentional assault. That day in class, a rural woman barged into the room, claiming to be Jack's fiancée. Turns out, all these years, Jack's parents promised her that he'd marry her after graduation. She supported Jack's family with her earnings. But a few days ago, she saw Jack's video on her phone. Panicked, she bought a train ticket to H-City to find him. You all lied to me. You're coming back home to marry me. No more studies for you. Jack almost instinctively pulled out a small knife from his bag and stabbed the woman. More than once. Meanwhile, I wrapped up all my projects, ready to quit my lab job to continue my studies. 3 years later, I became the youngest doctoral advisor at H University. The day before my birthday, I saw that familiar figure under the streetlight for I don't know how many times. I ignored it and went straight to my parking spot. Rachel finally couldn't help but step in front of me. Grant, have you been doing well these years? I took a few polite steps back and smiled. Pretty well. Rachel's eyes suddenly welled with tears. I haven't been well, not at all. Without you, I'm not okay, not even a bit. I slightly frowned, and Rachel thought I had softened. Grant, how about we get back together? I know I was wrong. All these years you haven't remarried because you haven't met anyone more suitable than me, right? I suddenly felt a bit annoyed. Turns out Rachel isn't all that different. Not getting married is because I don't want to, not because I'm waiting for you. Rachel interrupted me, excited. Don't you feel any regret? Not even a little? She cautiously reached out and touched her little finger. I sighed lightly, resigned. That marriage was a tiny mistake in my life which I've corrected. It won't affect my future. But your reappearance is quite impolite. You're smart enough, I think I've made myself clear. The rearview mirror of the car reflected Rachel's figure. She no longer had the aloof elegance from back then and wouldn't stir any more emotions in me. That night, I got a call from Rachel's brother. Grant, Rachel just got into a car accident and is injured. The doctor says it's quite serious. Do you want to? I'm in a meeting and can't answer this right now. I'll get back to you afterward. Rachel lay on her hospital bed, desperately watching her brother hang up the phone. She knew in her heart that even if I finished, I wouldn't return her call. Seasons may repeat, but people can't turn back. From now on, the road is just a road. I am just me.